Okay guys, so today I thought I'd just kind of walk you through writing a sample answer here. So I've just got a question out of one of our past exam papers for the HSC. It says, compare the dietary requirements of athletes in two sports that have different nutritional needs. Then I need to make sure I provide some relevant examples. So when I'm looking at this question, straight away I want to make sure I pick my two sports first. So my two sports, I'm going to make sure I pick, let's do AFL, and I'm also going to have a look at gymnastics. Okay, so they're my two sports I'm going to do. Now it says here dietary requirements, and our dietary requirements, if I remember back to the syllabus, we have pre, during and post performance requirements. And then of course this during, this pre stuff is also going to include carb loading. Okay, so what I'm essentially going to do as I structure this is I'm going to look at both of these because I have to compare them. So I'm going to use both. That in blue. Oh, that's not a good color, is it? Let's put that in light blue. Alright, so what I'm going to do is compare AFL and gymnastics. I'm going to compare them with their pre-game nutritional requirements. I'll then compare their during-game nutritional requirements and then their post-performance nutritional requirements as I write this. So let's go down here. Okay, this was 6 marks, so hopefully I'm wanting to get this done in a fairly fast manner. Okay, so I've just written my quick introduction. Okay, you'll see it's only one sentence. I'm not writing a very long introduction, but it basically just tells them what my two sports are going to be and highlights the fact that I know that I need to talk about pre, during and post competition. So I'm now going to move on and do a paragraph on each of these to finish off. Okay, so I'll just stop there. At this point, I've got just one paragraph here. So we're looking at before competition, and I'm starting off with my AFL player. And now I talk here about the fact that the game goes for longer than 60 minutes, and therefore the AFL player would benefit from carbohydrate loading. Okay, and so I've just talked about what they might eat, given in specific examples here of brown rice or porridge. And I've also said that they need to make sure that they are hydrated and mention specific measurements for what they might drink beforehand. I've then said that this is different to the gymnast, so that comparison, this is different, who does not need to do the carb loading but still needs to make sure that he's hydrated. Okay, so I'll now go on to my next paragraph. Okay, so at this point, I've just talked about during the event. So during the event, it's important for the AFL player to maintain his hydration and blood sugar levels. And so I've talked about how he needs to drink sports drinks and stuff. That will improve his performance. In contrast, the gymnast is not going to need to do that because generally a gymnast is going to perform. Their performance might go for 3 minutes, but then they're finished. Some performances may even just go for 10 seconds, depending on what event or what apparatus they're using at the time. My last paragraph then is now going to look at the post-event or post-performance nutritional requirements for each athlete. Okay, so this last paragraph I'm looking at post-performance for the AFL and the gymnast. So the AFL player, he's going to need more protein than the gymnast. They're both going to need protein, but the AFL player needs more. He's also going to need lots of carbohydrates and to replace his fluids, whereas the gymnast, he's not going to need the carbohydrates really at all because his performance is not going to be long enough for his glycogen levels to decrease, and he's also not going to really have been performing for long enough to have dehydrated. So like he'll still be drinking and stuff, but he doesn't need to be looking to replace all the fluids that he's lost through sweat over the last 90 minutes or so. That will be required of the AFL player. So there you have it. There's a sample answer. You can read it below on this article post, and hopefully it is useful for you. You notice that these paragraphs tend to follow the peel or seal or sexy structure that you've probably been taught, where there's a kind of an introduction statement, an elaboration on it, examples, and then some kind of conclusion. And you'll also notice that I've made sure I've used plenty of comparative language. So down here it says in contrast, so that's comparative. Down here I've also said even on the other end, that's comparative language to go along with the one up here where I've talked about this is different as comparative. Okay, so I've got my two athletes, used comparative language to show that there's differences between them, and made sure I've talked about the before, during, and post performance nutritional requirements. Thanks.